guys, welcome back to the channel. My name is Jay, and in today's class we're going to continue with our grade 10 math content, and we're going to move on to the quadratics transformations part 2. Alright, so if you haven't watched the last video, please make sure you do. And what we covered last time was for quadratics, the vertical stretch and the vertical compression, as well as the horizontal translation. So the last thing we're going to look at in this section is going to be the vertical translation. So remember that the word translation just means that the parabola is moving. If it's a vertical translation, the parabola is moving up or down. Okay, let's take some questions from the textbook here. All right. It says to sketch the graphs of these three quadratic relations on the same set of axes. Okay, so I'm going to pick actually some really small numbers. Okay, so say I have y equals x squared minus 3. Okay, so it's just like this. We're going to actually try graphing a sketch so everyone can see the actual transformation. All right. And one more time, make sure you are color coding each of the transformations of the quadratic as you would graph it out. Okay, so we're going to graph out basically the parent function. Okay, and again, make sure you actually memorize what the parent function looks like. So it's going to be at 0, 0. Okay, and then the next point is at 1 and 1. And then 2 and 4. Okay. On the other side of the parabola, remember it is symmetrical. So we're going to make the same points on the other side. And we're going to just join these points together. Okay, and one more time, this is the y equals x squared curve. Okay, and what we're going to do is basically the transformation of this curve. So you see that the equation says y equals x squared minus 3. This is a vertical translation. Okay, and because this is outside, it's a vertical translation, and the quadratic function is moving 3 units down because it's minus 3. So I'm just going to put 3 units down. Okay, so what you're doing when you actually graph out the transformation, I'm going to take each of the points on the parent function and I'm going to move it down by 3 units. Okay, so here's the origin. So 1, 2, 3. The vertex of the parabola is now going to be at 3, negative 3 here. Okay, so 0 and negative 3. So take this point here as well. So 1, 2, 3. And same thing here. So 1, 2, 3. So I'm basically moving all of the points on the parent function down by 3 units. Okay, and one more time, even if you have 3 points right here, that is actually enough, okay, for you to graph out the quadratic function. But we'll still move these points down as well. Okay, so it should move down to 1. Okay, and this is where the parabola is found now. So we're just joining all the dots together. Okay, and again, make sure you are putting the equation, okay, right beside the graph that you are drawing out. Okay, does everyone see how to do that? So I'm going to just add a couple of points here. So with that, let's try one more example. Okay, I'm going to just take this off. Okay, and what you're doing for this one, let's do y equals x squared. Let's do plus 2. Okay, so again, because I noticed that this number is outside and it is a vertical translation. So one more time, we're going to put vertical translation. Okay, and you notice how it is plus 2 here, so it's going to be 2 units up. So just like this. Okay, I'm going to take my parent function, and each of the points on the parent function is going to move up by 2 units. Okay, so start off with the vertex. So 1, 2, the vertex is now at 0 and positive 2. Okay, I'm going to take this point, so 1, 2, and the same thing here. This point is moving up 2. Okay, and you're going to do that also for the points over here. I'm going to just move it up 2. Okay, so it's something like this. All right, again, I can just use the 3 points here. I just wanted to show everyone the 5 points that we're drawing out. Okay, and you notice all we're doing is taking the parent function and I'm just shifting it upwards by 2 units. Okay, so one more time, make sure you are writing the equation here. So this is x squared plus 2. All right, are there any questions there? So I noticed that basically doing each of the transformations is very simple. The one that I would be a little bit worried about would be the value of a, okay? So remember, the value of a is telling you whether or not the quadratic function is vertically compressed or is it vertically stretched, okay? If the value for a, okay, is greater than, so let's maybe write that down, okay? As a recap, I'm going to just take this off. Okay, because the vertical stretch and compression is very important, okay? So the value of a is greater than 1. Okay, that means that this is a vertical stretch. Okay, and remember, if you have a negative sign in front, that's just a reflection in the x-axis, okay? That doesn't mean the value of a becomes negative here. It's still going to be a stretch as long as the value for a is greater than 1, okay? And say the value of a is less than 1, which means like it's a fraction, like maybe 1/2 or something. This is going to be a vertical compression, okay? And what a compression means is I'm actually just like squishing the quadratic and it becomes much wider, okay? Whereas if it's a vertical stretch, think of you stretching it out and the graph is going to become more thinner, okay? So I'll put thin here, okay? And in compression, in brackets there, you could just put maybe wide, okay? Because it's becoming much wider. All right, are there any questions? Good. All right, so with that, what we're going to do, okay, so those are all the transformations that you need to know when you're graphing out the quadratic function, all right? What we'll do now is basically I'm going to write out the equation, okay, and we're going to try writing out each of the transformations in words, okay? So this is quite important, so let me take this off. And there are also questions in the textbook where you need to actually come up with the equation and they will just describe what the transformation is for you. Okay, so first let's try this question. So say it is y equals -2 x plus 3 squared minus 4. Okay, so here I try to include all of the transformations in the quadratic. So let's try writing it out. So first I see that there is a negative sign here, which means that this is a reflection, okay, in the x-axis, okay. The second point that you're looking at, okay, is the 2. Again, remember this is a value for a. It's not -2 here, it's just basically 2. And I notice that the value for a is greater than 1. Okay, so this is going to be a vertical stretch. Okay, I'm going to put by a factor, okay, of 2. Does everyone see that? So this is the value of 2 right here, okay? And it is still a vertical stretch. It's not that it is -2 and it's less than 1 and that it's a compression. That's not what it means, okay? Now we're going to go to the next transformation here. I have x plus 3. What you have to do is make sure you change the sign here. So if it's x plus 3, that doesn't mean it's a horizontal translation 3 units right. Okay, the graph is actually being translated 3 units to the left. All right, so we're going to put horizontal, okay, translation. And one more time, we're going 3 units to the left. Make sure you are changing the sign. So I'm going to put 3 units left. Okay. And the last so that was this one. The last transformation is the -4, okay? Because this is outside of the brackets, this is a vertical translation. Either the quadratic function is moving up or it's moving down. Okay, so here I'm going to put vertical, okay, translation. Okay, and this quadratic is moving 4 units down. Okay, does everyone see that? Okay, and that's all you're doing. So there will be questions where the teacher asks you to actually write out the transformation for each of the graphs here. I should be able to write out the transformation as well as draw out, okay, each of the transformations. Make sure you're using graph paper. That way you can make sure your quadratic functions, each of the transformations are very accurate, okay? So with that, we're going to try one last question here. All right, so I'm going to take this off. And let's do y equals 1/2 x minus 2 squared plus 3. Okay, so it doesn't matter what the quadratic function is here. All right, so we're just going to describe the transformations. Now you notice in this question, there's no negative sign. okay, which means there's no reflection in the x-axis, okay? And when there's no reflection in the x-axis, that just means that the parabola is opening upwards, okay? So we're just gonna skip that one, or that transformation. I'm looking at the value of a, okay? So the value of a here is 1/2. I notice it's a fraction, and not just that it's a fraction, okay? It's actually, the value is less than 1, because I know 1/2 is 0.5. So we're going to put vertical, okay, compression. And this is going to be by a factor, okay, I'm going to put of 1/2. Does everyone see that? Okay. So I have to make sure I remember it's a vertical compression when the value for a is less than 1. All right. So with that, let's look at the next transformation. I have x minus 2, okay? This means this is a horizontal translation. I'm either moving the parabola to the left or the right. Make sure you are changing the sign, okay? So this is x minus 2. The parabola is actually moving 2 units to the right. Okay, and make sure you're actually using this term, okay? The term is horizontal translation. Okay, and I'm going to put 2 units right. Okay, so just like this, all right? And this is the last transformation here. We see that this is plus 3. Again, this number is outside the brackets. I don't need to change the sign. This is the vertical translation, and it tells us if the quadratic is moving up or down. I see because here it is plus 3. I'm going to move the parabola up by 3 units. Okay, again, the term is vertical translation, okay? And it's plus 3, so I'm going to put 3 units up. Okay? And basically, after you do each of these transformations, okay, that's where the final parabola is going to end up. All right? And again, because this is in the vertex form, I can actually just graph out my final parabola. If the teacher says to show each of the transformations, then you should make sure you're color coding each of the parabolas that you are drawing out with each of these transformations, okay? Make sure when you're doing the transformations, you are starting from the left, like we're doing here. We're starting right here with the 1/2, and then you're moving towards the right until you get to the last transformation, okay? All right, so that looks good. And if there are no questions, that brings this video to an end. Thank you for watching. Please make sure you do like, share, and subscribe to the channel, and I'll see everyone in the next video. Thanks, bye.